Hi everyone, it's Cassie here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel for another video. Today I'm going to be reviewing, kind of going over one of the newer sets that Arteza has. These are their EverBlend art markers, and if you look online, they basically are, what they say is EverBlend Ultra Art markers. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare these to the EverBlend Ultra Marker or EverBlend art markers that I have previously gotten. So it looks like if you head onto the website, they have different combinations of sets that you can get. This is a pastel set. They still have their older 120 set and their 60 set, but there are some differences I have noticed between these newer ones and the ones that they had previously released. Now, I don't know if they've changed up the previously released ones as well to kind of match this or what, but there is a little bit in the way of difference. You'll also notice if you go on the website, there are markers that are black in color, and then there's some that are white in color. The black ones have a brush nib, I believe, and I think they have a chisel nib. Don't quote me on that. You'd have to just go check it out. These ones have a broad nib, which is the same as like a chisel nib, and then they have a fine nib, and they are replaceable, so that is nice. There are no refills for the ink, so when you are out of a marker, you're out of a marker. But the price point for these, as of right now, actually, they're on sale for 12 markers as I'm filming. So I don't know if once this video is up, it'll be the same thing. But as of filming, it was $15.99. So that's like barely $1 a marker. That's really, really affordable. So if you are in the market for something like this, you definitely want to go check that out. But normally even, though, I think they're a little over $40 for this 12 pack, which then makes them still incredibly affordable, just over $3 a piece. But just keep in mind that when you order these, you can't order individual markers, and so you do have to buy in sets, and you cannot buy replacement ink. So there is one difference as far as Arteza compared to other popular brands. So let's open this up. This is a set of 12. This is the pastels. Like I said, you'll find that on the back it'll have all of the colors that you get along with their number and their name, which is pretty cool. And this is different. So this is one of the differences that I noticed. I have the older Arteza 60 EverBlend art markers. And so I'm going to pull out that I actually have I guess they would say repeats based off of just the name, but they're different colors. So I don't know, I'm not sure about that entirely. I'll pull out, there's 3 repeats that I have. I have the sapphire yellow, I have the periwinkle, and then the other one I have is apricot. So my 60 came like this, and that was a while ago. I don't know if they still sell it exactly like that, but and I'll have their website linked down below. But these are the 3 that I have that would be repeats. I'm not sure how many repeats there might be in the 120, but I actually don't really feel like they're repeats, and I'll share why. So let me grab out a piece of scratch paper so that I can show you what I'm talking about. All right, I'm just going to take this piece of scratch paper, and I'm going to compare the colors that I have. Now, the markers themselves, so this is the one that says sapphire yellow, and here's the sapphire yellow that I have in this new box. The caps are a little bit different. You're going to notice that even though they have the same name, this has a different number on it. And I'm very happy that Arteza did that. I never quite could understand what their numbering system was on the older caps. I don't know if the 120 set and the 60 set that they actually have online right now are the same as this, or if they're now this, but I do like this a lot better. The Y15 makes it a little bit easier to understand. I believe the A on everything was basically Arteza, but I mean, yeah. All right, then turning the marker over on the side, I noticed that just this is flipped a little bit differently. And then if you flip it like that, then your bullet nib is on this side for the old marker, and it's over here on the new marker. We don't have all this information on the old markers. This is only on the new markers. Maybe that's because they're eventually going to sell them separately. I'm not sure. Can't quote me on that. The other thing I noticed is that for your fine tip nib or your chisel nib or whatever, you have, for the older marker, it's the same color as your actual marker. And then for the newer one, it's gray. So there's that. And, you know, when you close it up, you'll notice that this is how you can tell one side from the other. So that's a nice thing. I'm going to show you the colors. Again, I don't know if they were meant to be the same or if they actually are different, but this is the old, and here is the new. And you'll notice that there is a difference. Let me put old, new. The color themselves are a little bit different. Just a little. The newer one seems to be a little bit more vibrant. But that's it as far as what I can tell in the difference between the old and new as far as these markers go. I'll pull out the other two colors that I have that are the same so that you can see what I'm talking about. Oops, that's the other one. And then we'll actually color something up. Once again, we have different marker tops. So this one that's periwinkle starts with a PB09, and this one would be A8277, and then all the other same differences. Let me mark old and new as, and we'll do it over here. So here is my older one, and here is my newer one. So they do look a little different. One is a little bit lighter than the other, maybe a little less blue tone, blue hue in there. Okay. Don't want to get those confused. Yeah, these are the older ones. Okay, and then here we have this apricot, which was one I used quite frequently. And here is the new color. It's just a little bit lighter from what I have gathered. So there's that. All right, now let's go ahead, take out our old ones, set those aside, and we're going to color something up with our new ones. Okay, so here is the little swatch that I've done up. It's just a tiny little swatch on the kind of paper that I would typically use to do my alcohol marker coloring. I put them in color order just to make them a little bit easier for me. I didn't put them in any sort of number order because these numbers and letters are a little different for each other, except these two, those, you know, these two. Those are different, those are the same. But, so that's what they look like. I'll keep that with my markers so that I have a swatch all ready to go and know how things will look on paper. And you always want to do this, you always want to do some sort of a swatch because they may end up looking a little different than what you see on the box. And so that's why I always recommend that. Plus it also gives you a quick reference. Say if you did one of these and you stuck it in just like a swatch book, then it's a whole lot easier to just flip through and look for what you need. So let me color something really quickly for you. Pull out. And the brush nib, you know, it's actually a pretty big, or not brush nib, this is the broad nib. Basically like a chisel. So it works pretty well. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, I typically like a brush, just simply because I'm a person who likes to do like flicking motions and stuff. And that makes it a little harder. You can get it, you can do it, it just makes it a little bit harder. So we'll do that. And I find with a brush I can typically cover more area a little bit quickly. But like I said, nice thing about these is that they have replaceable nibs. These are much more affordable than some of those other ones that are out there. And these are, I think, a really good, definitely a really good alternative to that. If you are absolutely new to alcohol markers, sometimes that price point on some of those other can be a little overwhelming. And so this makes it a little less scary, if you know what I mean, because the others can be quite an investment. So all I'm doing is, if you're new to alcohol marker coloring, I like to go lightest to darkest. That's how I get a better blend. I'll start with my light color as a wash, and then I will typically go back over and blend those two with my lighter color once I put my darker color down. As you noticed that I did. Darker color, and then I'd come back in with my lighter one. And sometimes you can add your lighter one over what you've already put down as far as light colors go, and you can still get a little bit of a different variation. So we've got a pink flower. Let's do a purple one. Once again, putting down a wash of color. And with alcohol markers, they stay, I want to use the word wet, but that isn't necessarily, you know how alcohol, when you just have using like alcohol wipes, it stays almost a little wet for a little while. That's the same thing obviously with alcohol markers. They're going to stay wet for just a tiny bit. And then you can blend those colors a little bit easier when they are. If you tried to put all that color down on, like, say, a big image and then go over and try and blend it later, you're going to have a little bit more difficulty, just simply because you'll be putting a dry element on top of a dry element. So these are blending really, really nicely. Let's do the yellows then. For this little flower, I'm actually not even going to blend those. Then for the green, I should have been zoomed in the whole time, but let me zoom in for you. And if you're curious as to what this image is from, it's actually from a Trinity Stamps stamp set. This is a 9x14, I believe. Let's see. No. 9x11 stamp set. 9x11. Sorry, 4x11 stamp set called Buttercup Blossoms. It's a brand new release by them. So I'm coming at this from a card maker's perspective. So that's what you're going to get from me. Putting down my greens. And I'll only do a couple of leaves at a time here, just because of, like I mentioned earlier, not wanting that to dry up so much that you can't get a good blend. But these colors look like they were absolutely formulated to go with each other, and I like that. So there's almost zero blend needed for these. That's nice. Perfect if you are a beginner. Perfect. That takes some of the scary out of it. Makes it a little bit easier. And then I'll do just a tiny bit of blending, not much. This is super nice. I like this a lot. And these have a triangular grip, if you didn't get that from just looking at them, which is not an uncomfortable grip. So there is that. And then let's bring in our oranges for our centers. I guess these are the white R's that I already did. No, I did those yellows. Okay, so we'll bring in this lighter color for the centers. Very pretty. And I'm not going to blend that out, but I like that. So take a look at that. Easy, easy blending. I do like how that turned out. I really do like how those blended. My only beef is I like a brush nib, and I am not sure if you can replace the bullet with a brush. But like I said, they do on the website have black markers that have a brush nib, so there is always that to consider. I don't know if they have them in the same types of sets. But if you are in the market for some alcohol markers, and you don't want to spend a lot of money, you don't want to invest you know, $5 to $8 a marker. This is an amazing alternative to that. So I typically color every day with alcohol markers, and I use lots of other mediums as well. I watercolor, all that, but I typically color with my alcohol markers on a daily basis. The only thing that would make this difficult for me is that I oftentimes have to refill my markers or replace my markers. And if you're somebody who does color as often as I do, this would be just a little bit of a frustrating thing for me, that if I ran out of this marker, I can't just replace this marker. And then you're ending up having to buy full sets again. So I definitely like these. I will definitely use these in the future and for other projects. These are great. And this little set is perfect as far as getting all your almost all your colors in, so that you can run on the go and do some coloring on the go. I'll keep this swatch with it so that I know what my colors look like. And there you have it. All right, everybody. So if you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. Thank you so much for all that you guys do, leaving those comments, liking and subscribing, everything. You guys are awesome. And I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.